Good morning. Welcome to our daily devotion. It is Monday, April 5th. I trust you had a good Easter yesterday. We sure did at our house. A lot of action here. My daughter was here with her 3 children. My son was here with his daughter. One of my nieces was here with her 2 boys. And it was a lot of action. We had a Easter egg hunt. We had the Easter Bunny visit us. We talked about what the resurrection meant. We had our meal together and we played together. We had a great night, a great day. So we celebrated Easter. I trust that you were able to celebrate also. Good morning, Serena. So thank you for those of you that continue to watch these videos. Good morning, Will. Good morning, John. Appreciate every single one of you. You motivate me. You're the ones that keep me going. So good morning, Paul. So we're in Matthew chapter 14. I'm going to read verses 1 through 12. Good morning, Marcy. It says, at that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard the reports about Jesus, and he said it to his attendants. This is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead. That is why miraculous power is at work in him. And then it goes on to tell us about what happened previously between him and John. Now Herod had arrested John and bound him and put him in prison because of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. For John had been saying to Herod, it is not lawful for you to have her. Herod wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of the people because they considered him a prophet. Herod was sleeping with his brother's wife, and John the Baptist was convicting him about it, and that angered Herod, and he wanted him dead, but he was afraid that the people would turn against him. Morning, Veronica. Morning, Anna. Morning, Ryan. Said on Herod's birthday, the daughter of Herodias danced for them and pleased Herod so much that he promised with an oath to give her whatever she asked. Prompted by her mother, she said, give me here on a platter the head of John the Baptist. The king was distressed, but because of his oaths and his dinner guest, he ordered that her request be granted and had John beheaded in prison. His head was brought in on a platter and given to the girl who carried it to her mother. John's disciples came, took his body and buried it. Then they went and told Jesus. So here we hear the story of how John the Baptist died. You know, all know who John the Baptist was, a cousin of Jesus, a pre-runner to Jesus. Jesus spoke extremely highly of John the Baptist. He was put in prison because he kept telling Herod about his sin of sleeping with his brother's wife. And Herod did not like being convicted about that. So Herod actually wanted to kill John, but was afraid that people would turn on him because the people seen John as a great, great prophet. Now, one of the things that this shows me is it shows me how much people resent being convicted of their sin. Herod did not like being convicted of his sin. I just imagine here if you had a little too much to drink and someone was convicting you at that time, like pointing the finger at you and telling you that what you're doing is wrong. Imagine someone challenging you when you're upset and maybe you're saying some curse words and they challenge you. I've learned that it's best to wait for a teachable moment rather than in the heat of the battle. After all, not too many people will listen to you trying to convict them right in the midst of that one, right in the midst of them maybe having too much to drink. That's probably not the time to challenge them. The best time to challenge them is when you're in a teachable moment where you're together, where you're talking about something, and then you gently bring it up and convict them. Good morning, Jocelyn. Good morning, Irene. So wait till people have calmed down. John was put in prison. He was put in prison for convicting Herod. Herod was forced to have John beheaded because the woman that he was sleeping with, her daughter, did this dance, and Herod promised her that she could have whatever they wanted, prompted by her mother. He was forced to to have John beheaded. So it was obvious that they wanted John out of the picture. But today's reading starts now with Herod much later now seeing Jesus, seeing what Jesus is doing, and convinced that it was John the Baptist coming back from the dead. That's who Herod thought he was. I'm sure that him putting John the Baptist to death, beheading him, was still haunting him. And then he's sitting there thinking, this must be John the Baptist coming back from the dead. Which brings me to ask, for today's reading, who do people today think that Jesus is? Who do people today think Jesus is? Because very few have put their trust in Jesus. So who do they think that he is? Here's the part that really amazes me, is most people, most unbelievers, don't even think about it. They don't even think about who Jesus really is. They're so wrapped up in everyday life. They're so wrapped up in living their life, their jobs, their family, et cetera, that they don't even stop to think about who Jesus could be. Unfortunately, it takes something major happening in their life before they actually sit there and start thinking about something more than just this life. I know people right now that are dealing with cancer, and it's at this time now that all of a sudden they start thinking about life, about death. Then they start pondering about God. They start all of a sudden start thinking about God, because all of a sudden when a doctor tells you that you have cancer and you may not have that long to live, all of a sudden your job is not that important. The material things you have are not that important. Now all of a sudden you start thinking about what's next. What's next? So here's what. I think it's at those times where we as Christians need to really share the truth with them, share Jesus with them. I think the greatest place to ever to share if you're an evangelist and you want to share the gospel, go to hospices. A hospice is, Anna, you know what a hospice is, where you go to die. You're in your final days, months, where you go to die. I'm certain that if you were to share the gospel with 10 people in their everyday life, first of all, you'd have a hard time getting their attention. You'd have a hard time getting them to listen to anything about Jesus. But go into a hospice and share with 10 people in there who have days, weeks, months to live, and I'll guarantee you they'll listen to you. They'll listen to you. They're desperate. Now they're desperate. If you have family, if you have friends, I know I've shared with my brother. We're taking care of brothers. Many of you know now. We don't know how long he has to live, but I've shared a couple, 3 times with him now about it. He knows it, but I just refreshes his memory on it. It's important that people have an opportunity to hear the truth. So it's like, let me go back now to if you want to convict someone, don't convict them in the heat of the battle. Wait for a teachable moment where you can convict them about what they're doing wrong. And then the same thing with sharing the gospel. Look for the right opportunities to share the gospel. It's important that everybody hears the gospel, but it's important that they hear it at the right times, especially the right times in their life. I can remember, and I've shared this with you, when I went back to Texas. I can't remember what holiday it was, but I sat down with my 2 grandchildren and my son and his wife, and shared the gospel with them, and had them invite Jesus into their life. It was a holiday. It was a family time together. It was the right moment the right moment to share the gospel with them. They're both very athletic. It the opposite would have been me going to his baseball game and right after the game sharing the gospel with him. Going to her volleyball game and sharing the gospel right after. You have to pick the right times when people are open to hearing what you have to say. And I know just from experience, when people are desperate, that's when they're open to the gospel. So if God ever gives you an opportunity to share with a loved one, a family member, when they're desperate, please do not hesitate to share the gospel, to share the truth with them. I trust you. Trust me, they will be extremely open to it. And then the second thing about convicting people that we talked about at the beginning, pick the right moments and make certain that they respect you. Herod had incredible respect for Herod. Incredible respect for Herod. The people had incredible respect for Herod, for John the Baptist. They had incredible respect for him. Make sure if you're going to convict someone that they have respect for you. Doesn't do any good to convict them of something when you're doing something also. They're not going to listen to you. But if they are doing something wrong and you see them doing something wrong and they respect you, as a Christian to a fellow Christian, we're to challenge them. I remember the Bible says that the Word says that's what the Word is even for. To teach us, to train us, to challenge us, to encourage us, to rebuke us. The Word is used to challenge and to rebuke. It lists 5 things, and 2 of them are encouragement, and 2 of them are challenging and rebuking. So it's our job as Christians to do that with those, especially with those that we care about. I hope you learned something this morning. We'll continue going through the book of Matthew. Tonight is our special message at 7 o'clock. I hope that many of you can join us. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock for our daily devotion. I trust you had a great Easter, a blessed Easter. Have a great day today. Share this if it meant something to you. And I'll see you either tonight or tomorrow. God bless you all. Have a great day.